Republican senator sees strong parallels between British monarch King George III during the American Revolution and today's deep state. One America's John Hines reports.
The overarching big government deep state of today is historically analogous to the reign of England's King George III just prior to the American Revolution, says Utah Senator Mike Lee.
We're fortunate to live in a republic, not a kingdom today. And yet we're still subject to unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats. Sure, they don't wear a crown, they don't sit on a throne, they don't inherit that title. But in some respects, they wield power that insulates them from the people, that makes them unaccountable to the people. And that is itself reminiscent of some of the things the founding generation was rebelling against at the time of the Revolution.
It's a parallel for which Lee, known as something of a constitutional expert, builds a case in his new book, Our Lost Declaration, essentially making the point that the deep state is not new.
When we look back on the days when we were subject to a king, we think about the fact that we had this individual who was in charge of many aspects of our lives. He was distant from us. We couldn't remove him by vote. And in many instances, he did things that might have been in his interest, but less so of the people.
Unelected, distant, and in charge of everything. In other words, the deep state. And despite today's apparent wisdom of the pundits claiming the clash between House lawmakers and the president is a constitutional crisis, Lee demurs, saying what may be a dispute is not necessarily a crisis.
It's a sign of a dispute within our constitutional system. But it's not really a crisis. To the extent we're in a crisis now, it's a crisis that's been brewing over the last 80 years. As you've seen power moved away from the people, and from the people's elected lawmakers in Congress over to unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats. That's the true crisis. That's the one that threatens your liberties.
Lee is calling for the passage of the REINS Act to help push back against the deep state. The act would require any new bureaucratic agency action that has a major economic impact to be affirmatively enacted into law by Congress. John Hines, One America News, Washington.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.